Now, today, the topic for my presentation will be the third door. Well, what does the third door mean? If you could just take away one sentence from this whole presentation, it would be, if you look beyond the status quo, you create new doors for yourself, okay? So, what is the third door? Does it look like that? Do you just create a new door out of nowhere, like in Monsters Inc? No, actually. So how the third door would look like would be something like this, right? You know, you've heard the saying, when one door closes, another one opens, right? But let me just ask you guys this question. What happens if the next door that opens is not an ideal situation for you? What happens if the next door that opens is not something that you want? It's not a favorable situation to be in. So over here, you would see this middle door. What if I told you that you guys could actually create this for yourself? Right? What if I told you that you could turn a not so ideal situation into your favor? So the belief for the third door concept is something I'm going to talk about today. And you have to remember there is always a way around, I would say everything, but for the sake of safeguarding myself, I would say there's always a way around most things, okay? You know, it wasn't too long ago where I was exactly like you guys, seated in the university chairs, listening to lectures, you know. And so I asked myself, what would be the advice I wanted to give myself if I was just like you guys, seated right now? So the question that I'm pretty sure every one of you guys have thought about at some point is this: is problem solving the #1 skill you need in today's society? Can I get a show of hands for university students if you have stressed out or thought about where your next job is going to be, what your career is going to look like? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, so pretty much almost everyone has thought about that. So yes, from an employee, and I was an employee, now I'm an employer, and this is the question I have asked myself when I was a student, and it is still the question I'm asking myself when I look for potential candidates. So the answer is yes. Problem solving to me is still the #1 skill in today's society. And I have a very interesting framework that I'm going to share with you guys as to how I solve problems along with my business partner Esther, how we solve problems, whether it's in our studies, whether it's in our careers, or whether it's in business, okay? So the truth is that problem solving is an important skill, mainly because we all know machines are getting smarter. Can I get a show of hands? How many of you guys have used ChatGPT for your assignments somehow in the past year? Show of hands, please. Okay, I won't expose you guys, okay? But you know, machines are getting smarter. And job markets are getting tougher, right? Coming out from the pandemic, I'm pretty sure most of you guys know that it's so hard to find a job these days. And even if you do find a job, does it pay well? Is it fulfilling? Most importantly, is there remote work, right? So yes, job market is getting tougher. You have fresh graduates coming out taking jobs even though they are not paying as well. So that just shows you that competition is getting harder, okay? So I'm not too old myself. I've graduated from Monash here in the peak of COVID, right? I had the Zoom classes. I can tell you I didn't like that at all, okay? And however, it was during this time, a few years before that in my year 1, where I stumbled upon a book that just gave me so much insight when I was a student, seated down here just like you guys. Okay, so this book, it's called The Third Door by Alex Banayan, and that will be my inspiration for today's session. So after reading this, I still remember as a student being blown away by the amount of wisdom that's inside this book. And I'm going to share with you some wisdoms that I have taken down and I have read and I have compiled from highly successful people. So here's the wisdom. Before I dive into that, can I just ask you guys to think about what is your idea of a dream life? Okay, just think about that in your head. You don't need to tell me what dream life looks like for you, but I'm pretty sure for everyone, it's probably chilling in the beach, it's probably sipping a cup of iced Coke next to the love of your life, you know, no need to worry about money, no need to worry about work, financial freedom, so on and so forth. Okay, But let me just pull you back into reality and what's currently happening, okay? So the conventional wisdom the conventional wisdom in the book says that most people are living a linear life. Now, when you think about linear, it can be like that, diagonal, right? Sometimes it doesn't have to be straight, it can also be slowly increasing. Is there anything wrong with it? Absolutely not. It's totally fine, right? But how it will look like would be, you come out, you've been studying since high school, all the way to college, and all the way to uni, and after the studies, you get a job. And, if you're good at what you do, you get a promotion, and maybe promotion after promotion after promotion, retire. Right? You can't see the word, but it says retire. And after retire, boom, I can finally chase my dream life. Okay, that sounds great. But there is this wisdom that if you want to be the top 1%, the successful people opt for an exponential life. Now, what can you understand when you think about exponential, right? An exponential chart will look upwards like that, right? It's a bit like a hockey stick graph. So the challenge here is figuring out how long are you going to stay below here before you can finally see a drastic increase, right? So that is the exponential life. And successful people always ask themselves, how can I be in the top 1%? What do I need to do to be the best in everything that I do? So there are 3 questions here that you guys can take home, ask yourself, and really just reflect, because if you can answer this, you will be the top in your category. So the first question here, and if you take nothing away, this is a picture of Elon Musk. Sorry, you can't see him. But he has this wisdom. How do I accomplish my 10-year plan in 6 months? Now, I know it sounds crazy, but think about where you want to be in 10 years, okay? Think about where you want to be in 10 years and ask yourself, how do I shortcut my success all the way to 6 months? Right? And if you think about this question, it forces you to go against conventional wisdom. If you think 10 years from now you want a nice house, you want a nice car, you want a fulfilling education, you want kids, you have to ask yourself, how do I condense my 10-year plan into 6 months? Now, the challenge here is not to stress yourself out and figure out how you want to cheat your way through life and get there in 6 months. No. The challenge here is to think about how do you want to do the important, the necessary things, put in more hours, put in more effort to achieve your goals. Now, let's talk about you. This is the exciting part that I love. Well, talking about theories are just so easy. Let me just show you a perfect example for everyone that's seated here, whether you're in university, whether you're in business, and how you can adopt the wisdom. So how can you look at life with third door wisdom? Okay, so I'm pretty sure the university life cycle is you go in as a fresh grad, you're excited, you tackle your first assignments really on time, you love everything, you make friends, and then comes the second assignment, and then the third, and then the fourth. And then you realize that you're just spending time chasing assignments, no sleep, a lot of coffee, liver failing. Also, you could submit your assignments and graduate, what, within 3 years, within 4 years? Ask yourself that question. Have you thought about that? Like, is it worth it? Is it worth the sleepless nights, no social activity, trips to Sunway Pyramid? I see most of you guys like to go to Sunway Pyramid, huh? So, a general statement, and I'm not sure if you can see, but a general statement for university students would be, I don't like going to university. Okay? Now, all these statements are not made up. These are my personal experiences, okay? Let's be honest, let's be real. I didn't like going to university. But I phrased it differently. And the first part of the framework is to ask yourself, can you break down the statement into smaller parts? Right? What is it about university that you don't like? So, I'm not sure if you can see, but the problem about university, the first one for me is I can't wake up early. If some of you guys agree, then you're gonna want to see what's next. The second part about university that I didn't like was that the assignments were very stressful. So I was from the School of Science, and every single week there is performance coming in, there's reports coming in. And of course the third one was there wasn't much passion in the course. Right? When what you love becomes something that you're forced to do, eventually you lose some sort of enthusiasm in it. So I asked myself, I had these problems, right? What are the loopholes? So the loopholes for this situation is, if I can't wake up early, can I choose my modules to start at 1 p.m. instead, right? And surprisingly, yes, you can. All you need to do is find some friends who are willing to swap with you, right? Or be early and choose your slots. Okay, if you can't, then the next question for stressful assignments is, can you take less modules so that you don't get overloaded with so much assignments coming in, right? And if you take fewer modules, doesn't that mean that you actually have enough time to join clubs, events, societies, and have a great experience? Now, the most important bit of this is you need to ask yourself, what are the consequences for you if you break the rule? Now, a lot of people like to talk about loopholes. There's also a loophole. If you don't like morning class, don't go to lecture, right? But what are the consequences? You miss out, you waste money, it's expensive. So ask yourself, what is the consequence before you actually break the rule? Now, for my case, the consequence of cannot wake up early is I started the class at 1 p.m. And as a result, I had free mornings but busy afternoons. So to me, all I needed to do was make sure that I got my morning workout. First thing in the morning, I play with my doggies, I have breakfast with my parents, I spend quality time that I needed to, so that my entire afternoons can be dedicated to university classes. And at least when I come back home, I have every important task out of the way, I could spend more time with my loved ones. The second thing is, can I take fewer modules? Yeah, sure, you can take fewer modules, but you have to take maybe an extra semester or two. Okay? So for your context, science is a 3-year course. I finished it in 4. What I did was I underloaded every single semester, and so I only needed to go to class 2 days a week. Okay? Life hacks, guys, life hacks. Right? So, and with that said, I managed to join clubs, events, societies. I knew I'm not going to like my course, so why would I cry my way through 4 years? Right? So I joined courses, I became the first student to break a lot of systems and a lot of rules in Monash. Now, what I mean by that? So I did a total of 5 internships. Okay? I've been to 3 university exchanges. So over here was, I was in NTU, right? I was one of the handful of students that managed to make my way to Asia's top university. Okay? And I enrolled for, remember, I am studying science, but I didn't really like it, so I sat in for all their business classes, okay? And that is just because I can. And then I made my way through to the UK with University of Warwick, and yes, because I only had 2 days of school, I was out there traveling most of the time, okay? And not to forget that I'm actually a science major, so in my first year, I decided to test the theory. Do I like my science course or not? So I can't just say I don't like it and I don't want to do it. I have to try it out. So I was in the lab like this, 8 to 5 every single day. It was not for me, okay? Not for me. So having gone through that internship experience, my second year I tried corporate. So I applied to Petronas, KLCC, and here I am. I know you can't see, but it's a picture of me pretending to smile for a picture. It's corporate life. It's also not something I'm interested in. However, my third pursuit came in Singapore, in NTU, when I met a group of the smartest startup students, and I fell in love with the startup culture, right? So my third, fourth internships happened to be startup internships, and my fifth happened to be an agency. So I had all of these experiences before I graduated from university. One of the things that impacted us a lot when we were trying to grow our business, our Pimple Patch business, was saying that retail outlets are important. They are important, but they require a huge amount of capital. That is true, right? It's very expensive to run a retail store. Now, why is it very expensive to run a retail store? Well, because first and foremost, you need to hire multiple staff, expensive renovation or rental rates, and of course, if it doesn't work out, it's a risk of slow business or even business not working out at all and you close down. And what are the loopholes around this? Is there a way? Now, this doesn't have to be a solution. It can just be questions to prompt your thinking. It can be questions to trigger your thought process. Is there a way you don't have to hire staff to take care of the retail outlet? Think about that. Has that been done before? Up to now, maybe you're not too sure. And why is rental expensive? Rental is expensive because of the space that you're taking up. is there a way you can conduct business in as little space as possible, right? And what is the way to reduce the risk of slow business just in case it doesn't work out? You can't talk about making it profitable because business is not always a profitable venture, but you can talk about how you can reduce whatever you stand to lose. So this was something that I bounced around with my business partner as trying to figure out what are the best ways around this. And we found a solution. A solution for us is, can we deploy a vending machine that's 24/7? It will save a lot. It will save on manpower. In fact, you don't need physical manpower to be present there. Vending machines, they are not sick. They don't call in and take MCs. They have good personalities. They have good working attitude. You know, they are loving. They are kind, right? So we said, why not try a vending machine? And of course, can you conduct business in as little space as possible? For us, yeah. Right, we have a vending machine in Sunway Pyramid now, just in case you guys are not aware, and we are only taking up 20 square feet of space. So if you think about it, is this a fun, interesting, innovative way to conduct business? Certainly, yeah. And of course, how can I reduce the risk if it does not work out? Well, even if it doesn't work out, what do? We just lock our machines, pack it and go, right? You don't waste on the renovation costs that can be hundreds of thousands, right? So that was a little bit about our small business, right? We are still learning, but this framework that we have adopted has allowed us to grow, right? So I'm happy to share that right now we are in Guardian outlets, we have 5 vending machines around KL, Selangor, and JB. We have so many good things going because of the way that we phrase our problems, right? Again, going back to this conversation, it's all about finding problems, breaking it down, finding a loophole, and exploiting the loopholes with no consequences. So this is me, this is Esther, this is just an example of our vending machines that have gained popularity. And of course, it might not work for every single nature of business, but hopefully when you take a look at the framework, this framework of identifying your problems, figuring out how you can go around it, and what really are the consequences if you break them, right? You will realize, or you will be surprised to find out that sometimes the consequences aren't that bad. So it's okay to go beyond, it's okay to step beyond that line, provided that you know you are thinking and you are looking beyond the status quo. Remember, exponential growth comes from looking beyond the status quo. And I wish everybody who is here today could take away that framework to effectively solve your problems so that you can be the top 1% of your category. Thank you.